Welcome back to Spartan Up the Podcast in beautiful Squaw Valley at World Championships. I'm here, as always, with Joe DeSena, Johnny Waite, myself, Sephra, Colonel Nye, and our wonderful producer and director, Marion Abrams. This week we have Georgina Pazcoguin, who's the rogue ballerina. And this interview...
She was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, you guys want to know what hardcore is. I think ballet... pretty hardcore, right, Joe?
And the funny thing is, you wouldn't necessarily tie Spartan and ballet together, but after meeting her, well,
she's a Spartan.
She's a Spartan.
I remember one race where somebody had to do ballet in the middle of the night in a barn or something.
We are here in LA for the World Conference with the rogue ballerina, Georgina Pazcoguin, and half Filipino, half Italian, grew up in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
17 years of training to reach the height, the pinnacle of your career.
Right, 17 years as a professional ballerina with New York City Ballet.
All right, so talk to me about that. Isn't it easy to be a ballerina?
I wish it were. I mean,
you just get those little silk shoes, and
you just go.
They just start moving, right?
Anyone can do it. Oddly enough, some people think that, and a lot of advertisements have come out. It's actually been a kind of a controversy. No, it's quite hard. It's an apprenticeship. It's like being a master cobbler. It's something that you spend your entire life doing and perfecting, like the top neurosurgeons. It takes so much grit and passion, and it's taken this long to get to where I am. And it took starting ballet at the age of 4.
Wow.
This is not something that you just decide at the age of 17 and become a professional ballerina. You have to start when you're young. You have to formulate the muscles. You're training your body to do positions and movements that physically you're not supposed to do. Our skeleture is not...
So there weren't any cave woman ballerinas?
I don't think so. I mean, granted, they had their own feats of strength.
They did.
I'm not knocking them at all.
Yeah.
But no 32 fouettes.
So seriously, how hard is it? I mean, you got a brace on your knee.
I mean, it's really hard. I don't know if she can pan down to the brace, but the injuries happen, and I tore my ACL in April, and I had Worlds, and I had performances scheduled in the late summer, early fall, and I couldn't cancel. I couldn't get the surgery, so I am working every single day. I did exercises on the plane, to do my training and my PT and rehab. I had my first shows back literally Friday and Saturday on flat, and then my next shows will be on point. It takes hours. At least I've been in the studio for 5 or 6 hours alone rehabbing since my company's away on tour.
What's a typical day of training?
A typical day.
What time do you get up?
Well, I get up at around 6:45 and walk my dog. I have a black lab, so we are out in the park early in the morning. And then class starts later for artists because we're up a little later. You're going to think this is the next day.
That's right.
We have company class at 10:30, and it's a warm-up. And then from 10:30 to 11:30 or 12, that's class. 12 is rehearsals, 12 to 6, and it varies every day. New York City Ballet does between 35 and 40 ballets a season. Wow. And we're only...
But I mean, that sounded like an 8-hour day of training? Or?
Right, but it varies. So according to what the repertoire is, I might have 12 to 3:47 and then the show at 8, or I might have just an hour of rehearsal or half an hour. It just depends. Or I might just have the show. Those are magic days. So every day is different, But
by and large, on average, for 17 years, you're putting in how many hours a day?
Oh, at least 8. At least 8, but more so like 12. They're 12 hours.
So it's basically easy.
Yeah, just easy.
It's like a swimmer or a rower or anybody that wants to master their craft, right? You're putting in...
Yeah.
I was with a gold medalist recently in rowing. He said to me, 12 years, 7 days a week, 6 hours a day.
Right. And it's come to the point now where it's just easier to stay in shape. Yes, there are forced periods of rest, which is, I'm in one of those now. But as we were talking, I'm not a big fan in taking days off. I mean, I will at some point after a really harsh season, I'll take at most maybe 5 or 6 days. But even so, I'm doing PT. I'm never leaving my point shoes at home. I'm never leaving my TheraBands, my exercise balls, because they keep my multifidi, those really small muscles, you need to, like your brain, it needs to keep being exercised so I can be ready to go.
Why not just quit? I mean, I would imagine if there's 1,000 ballerinas that enter the space, there's only 100 or 50 or 10 that are left at the end of 17 years, right? Is that true? Is that
It's
accurate?
so true. It's that actually I was one of 10 apprentices taken in to New York City Ballet, and I am one of 3 dancers of the 10 that are still with the company.
Is New York City Ballet the best of the best?
Well, it's all subjective.
Right.
So New York City Ballet is one of the premier companies in the United States. I think we have some of the best dancers showcased. We are a really great motley crew. We don't all we're all sorts of shapes and sizes, and we're all movers, and we all have a prowess at the balancing technique. And like you said about wanting to quit, I moved to New York to study at School of American Ballet a week before 9/11. And my first day of school, I was finishing high school, and we were shuffled along back to Lincoln Center, and we were told to go get our stuff. And so we took the elevator up, and I looked out the window, and I saw the second tower fall. And that was such a defining moment in my life. And the days following, I mean, for everyone, life changed. And I remember my mom calling me and being like, "You have to come home. You just give up on this." And I told her, which I didn't remember, but she brought it up in a different interview, that I had said to her, the world needs art more than ever. So I was committed at that point, at 16 years of age, that this was the path for me, and it didn't matter what was going to happen.
There was nothing that was going to stop
no
it,
fear.
right?
You just have to jump in.
And that's one of the attributes that makes somebody successful at whatever they do, and it's that no quit attitude.
Yeah, you cannot have that. I mean, you have those thoughts, of course, but then you push through that, and then you reward yourself for pushing through those thoughts. It's all about.
How many times can you remember many times in those 17 years of training where you're like, I can't do this?
I mean, 2 or 3 times a week in a season when you're just busting your balls trying to get up every day and learn a new ballet. There's new choreography, and your muscles are sore from that, but then you have a super classical ballet. I've had programs where I've had to play Anita and West Side Story, which is in heels and a wig, then change into a leotard ballet, then change into a tutu. And you're exhausted. And you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, is this really what I want to do? And the answer is always yes. But yeah, there are those weak spots.
Dark moments.
But
you push through somehow.
You got to.
And you think it's having a support group, like people that are with you pushing through?
Yeah, I think especially in my days in the Corps, we were such a band of dancers, and we were putting these. The corps de ballet of any company is the structure. It's the heart of ballets. You have the stars, and I do solos now and principal parts, and it's lovely and wonderful. But most of my discipline and my training and my grit was made in the corps. And I spent 10 years there. I spent 10 years doing my heavy core work, my soloist work, and my principal work.
Sounds like the Army.
Yeah, and trying to prove yourself. It took 10 years for me. For other people, it took a year and a half. And I was like, why? What's the deal? What am I doing wrong? And so you fight that, and you need to just follow your own path, which is, testament to most careers. You can't attach yourself to someone else's path in life and say that's how it's going to be, because it's just not going to turn out that way.
Sure. And that must be frustrating, right? You're looking at other people that are succeeding much quicker.
Right.
And lots dropping off.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many, we call them comets, that rise to the top, and they're there, and they just disappear. It's so fast. And
what do you attribute that to?
I attribute it to not having to learn the rules, and also getting the respect. I feel like I'm a dancer who has a lot of respect in my company.
By putting the time in.
I put in my time, right. And I put in my time with a positive attitude, and I've made my own memories in these ballets, and I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't wish it to be thrust upon anyone, because this is where the heart and soul is. Yeah, it's all about the journey.
So for the listeners out there that are not dancers, not in the ballet, not putting 17 years in, what can they take away from this and apply to their life? Whether they want to be a better mom, a better mechanic, a better whatever.
I think if you when you look at this story, it's about honoring yourself and knowing that you have a singular path, and to try not to compare yourselves to others, but also having that grit. I mean, if you want it, you have to commit yourself to it, and you have to go out and get it. It's not going to come to you. Success is not going to just come to you. It's not like it's not the stork. And you have to really work hard at it. And the harder you work for it, the sweeter it is when you get it, no?
Yeah, and even when you get it, it somehow just continues to escape, and you got to keep
right. And then you want the next goal,
yeah,
and the next goal after that. So
what's next for you?
That's a great question. I am now taking my platform, having been on Broadway and still in New York City Ballet. I do have hopes to be promoted to principal in New York City Ballet. I don't know if that will happen. I don't need a title necessarily. But what I really want to do is use my platform as dance. And dance and ballet is a global unifier. And I've started visiting orphanages, working with 2 foundations, Arte Amor and Orphan Starfish. And my first trip was to Nicaragua right after I injured myself. And I met 31 little women who had never had a ballet class before, and they are subjected to such poverty and abuse. And to see their lives changed by literally a few pliés and providing them with care and mentorship, it helped me heal too.
Sure.
And so I want to continue to do that in ways and find ways to make ballet relevant so people want to come and continue to push this art form forward.
I would imagine a kid from that background would push through the 17 years and be thankful.
Oh,
that
yeah.
They get
absolutely.
Three meals a day. And
they were so grateful. And one of the things that struck me so much is that they are so open to be, some of them are physically abused, and to just open and loving. I could not get over it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to go do a dance.
Oh, Tutu's over there.
Do you want to ask favorite exercises?
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, it's like I was talking to your friend.
What's your favorite exercise if you're not dancing? Like, what's your thing? Is it burpees? Is it pull-ups?
My favorite exercise is anything in the water. I love to paddleboard. I really love to surf. I'm bad at it, but I love it.
You love surfing?
I do. I can't do it a lot because it changes the shape of my body. But during layoff, I will surf. I really want to get into kite surfing.
Kite surfing's cool.
But generally, cross-training during a season, I'll do gyrotonic, which is not unlike Pilates. There's a pulley weight suspension, so I can work and lengthen my muscles while creating that strength.
All right. Gyrotonic and surfing. That's your key to becoming a ballerina Spartan. The rogue ballerina. You're awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So in addition to her being just amazing in and of herself, what I love is the range of people you're meeting. That's amazing. Like somebody from the New York Ballet.
Yeah, these are not people I would have necessarily sought out to interview, or you guys might not have sought out to interview, but we had somebody that was a Tony Award winner on Broadway. There have been all kinds of people that you wouldn't necessarily say, you wouldn't put them in the Spartan box.
Sure.
But then when you start to see what it takes to be that talented in that specific discipline, you're like, holy smokes, actually they're more Spartan than I am.
Well, and one of the things I loved about that conversation was, you're sort of trying to pull out how hard she works and how many hours a day and stuff. And it's funny because at first when she was like 8 hours, it doesn't sound like a lot because we kind of think we got to put in 12 hours, 16 hours, 20-hour days. But that's to get something done quickly. And the kind of talent she's developed, you can't develop quickly. You couldn't put in 20 hours a day for 5 years and get there.
Yeah.
And it's...
How's the saying go with women? It takes 9 months, basically. You can't.
Never heard that saying.
Generally, anything a guy says, what does it say about women is not going to go well.
Well, there was nothing negative there, but anyway.
No, but what I mean is the idea that...
It takes 9 months and a lifetime of dedication.
Something like that.
Something like
right,
you can't.
But generally, we're always focused on the hard work to get it done now. But things that are truly great, like becoming one of the best ballerinas in the world, becoming one of the best athletes in the world, it really is consistency. So
dedication.
The idea of 6 hours a day over 20 years is a lot more valuable than 20 hours a day over 6 years.
I was recently with, and you get the opportunity to hear from him, but I was recently with a rower who he and his twin brother got gold for Canada years ago. And he said, you want commitment? He goes, I'll tell you a commitment. He goes, I did 12 years straight, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, every single day. That's what it takes, right? Extreme success requires.
Those ballerinas, I mean, and she kind of hit on it. You go back, they massive injuries.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
being up on
Spoken
your toes.
from the guy wrapped in a...
Looking good there, Colonel.
For those of you just listening out there, Colonel Nye, who just mentioned massive injuries due to ballerina, is wrapped in a gauze bandage around his chest.
From a plie gone bad.
Yeah, but what I find...
Fall on the stage. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Go, young
When-
lady.
when you were doing Swan Lake.
Yes,
in
my
black
rendition.
tights. That'd be amazing. But I like what you said about a comet, right? Because Joe, you always ask this question. It's like, what makes the difference between someone who has it in them to get up 20 years, 7 days a week, or someone who's like, oh, I made it to the big time, I'm checking out now? Like, what is that difference? And I don't know. Ballerina is like, and the other thing I thought about it was, it's just interesting to think about the dedication, all these different mediums and sports of like, just working out all these different little muscles. Like, think about the different little muscles that you need to have to be a strong ballerina.
And they don't do sloppy workouts, right?
No,
everything
definitely not
is
sloppy.
Everything is perfect.
Well, and everything's got a coach standing over top
Meticulous.
of you. But think about the dedication it takes for her to do it versus those countries that kind of select little girls to do it, either gymnastics or ballet or whatever, and kind of force them to do it, those programs. You know, because maybe those people can quit or not. Here's a woman who's got an opportunity. She can walk away anytime she wants. She's not under that kind of pressure. All the pressure she's under is self-induced, right? Or
Actually,
family
her mother's
induced or whatever.
pushing her to quit.
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
right.
That's a great
But
part of the
keeps
story.
driving on, and she says when she looks in the mirror, like many have done, you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? For her, every time she asks the question, her answer is yes.
And yet the cool thing was that she acknowledged how often she had to ask that question.
Right.
She said the answer was always yes, but there were many, many times, like sometimes 2-3 times a week, and I'm going, why am I doing this? Do I really want to do this? And she'd ask herself honestly and go, I do really want to do this. But just the fact that it's not like it came naturally for her. She still had to grind through everything.
Well, I also really appreciate the fact, because I studied art history, right? And in the face of such tragedy and 9/11, when there was like deep emotion, just having that cognitive resonance that like art is super important in a really expressive way, and to stick through it in that's a really beautiful thing. And I think
That was a powerful quote.
And I think in our culture, art really needs to be celebrated as much as physicality. And when the two come together, when you have ballets at the New York Ballet, I'm saying it wrong. That's embarrassing. Sorry, Mom. But I mean, there's really are like huge emotional expressions that can really motivate and like sway amazing.
I want to end it with I just love when somebody picks something and sticks with it through thick and thin, because that inspires the rest of the world.
And is now finding ways to use it to inspire people all over the world, you know, going down to Nicaragua and other countries and helping people in orphanages through ballet, you know, and really taking her unique talent and using it to help other people. So I just want to throw that in too, because that's pretty amazing.
Orphan Starfish.
Yeah, her charity is orphanstarfish.org. Definitely check that out, orphanstarfish.org, and you get to see the rogue ballerina going into third world countries and helping young orphaned girls find their voice, find their passion, and find a future through ballet.
Plies.
With that, you can check us out at...
That's right. Spartan Up Podcast. It is spartan.com/podcast. You can check us out on YouTube, iTunes. What we ask you to do is subscribe, and that way we get you every issue so you don't miss anything. We got incredible ones coming up. Tell your friends. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching another epic story of success. If you like our message, please share Spartan Up with your friends and subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you catch our show, maybe in the woods. Spartan Up is brought to you by Spartan Race. To find a race near you, visit Spartan.com.